with the sponsorship of the Dagama Group. Are you interested in positioning your brand and expanding your client base in the mining industry? Then join the leading mining magazine in America and gain valuable exposure for your brand among mining companies, contractors, and decision makers. We have a strong presence across various international platforms, including TV, websites, and social media, allowing us to reach a staggering audience of 2.7 million individuals. Reach out to us to learn more about our annual advertising packages and take advantage of advertising opportunities in Rumbo Minero, the ultimate business tool for the mining sector. Make a wise investment today and align yourself with the industry leaders. For more information, visit our website at www.rumbominero.com.
Welcome. Cesar, how's it going?
What a pleasure, Jorge.
Hi, my name is Jorge Leon Benavides, and together with Cesar Campos, we will be launching an exciting project called Rumbo Minero. Well, this week, Cesar, we learned about the resignation of the head of Peru Petro, right? Apparently due to the issue of the lots, right? Next week, we will be hosting a conversation about these and various other subjects here at Rumbo Minero to President Alejandro Narvaez from Petroperú, who I believe is going to conduct a rather important interview, right?
Can you explain to us what happened with the flexi cooking unit, which was supposed to be the queen, right, of the renovation of the Talara refinery, and finally other topics we need to address?
At this moment, we are in the process of gathering inquiries from our social media followers so that we can present them to the president of Petroperú. Tam, we are going to have in this program the Deputy Minister of Mines, Engineer Henry Luna. What are we going to talk about? From the virtual single window or with the support of the World Bank? Please explain it well. There are several unanswered questions regarding the single window, but let's explore the World Bank's role in this matter. There is a need to further address these inquiries. We are pleased to welcome our new guest, Cesar.
Sure, Carlos de la Torre de Paredes, a political expert, is a social conflict expert who will discuss his perspective on the pre-election landscape where mining has always been relevant. Well, it's practically the puchimbol, isn't it? Of
the piñata.
The piñata, those who always want to access power, whether parliamentary or presidential, at the expense of the image of mining.
Indeed. We are now going to examine the key mining news with gratitude to Gabriela Chicoma. Please continue.
Thanks for the mining news, Jorge. Here's what's trending this week in the world of mining. The Ministry of Energy and Mines intends to unveil the mining fund prior to July, as Maximo Galo Quintana announced, Director of the Mining Formalization Directorate of Minem. He also emphasized that this fund aims to be an incentive for mining formalization in the country. At the same time, he confirmed that the mining fund will initially benefit the 11,000 miners who have already formalized. Minerals and Metals Group MMG, a prominent mining company, is currently assessing the feasibility of restarting the Galena mining project in Cajamarca in the near future, as stated by Ivo Zhao, who is the manager of the Las Bambas mine and the general manager for MMG in the Americas. Likewise, he emphasized that after a decade on hold, it is necessary to update various studies, including the Environmental Impact Study, EIA, prior to commencing operations. In a significant milestone for the Peruvian industry, the Ministry of Production has granted approval for the detailed environmental impact study of the project that aims to establish the Horizonte de Verano green hydrogen production plant, which requires more than $11.2 billion investment, totaling approximately $12.32 billion. The project, located in Arequipa, will include a desalination plant and a photovoltaic solar plant.
Thank you so much to Gabriela Chicoma for providing the key mining news of the week. We are now joined by Henry Luna, the Deputy Minister of Mines from the Ministry of Energy and Mines. We will discuss, of course, a matter that worries us. Let us observe the progress of the Single Window Initiative, aided by the assistance of the World Bank, and assess its development. Well, hello, Engineer Henry Luna. Welcome.
I am very thankful for the invitation, and as usual, I am here to answer all the pertinent questions you may have.
Thank you. Well, please provide some insights on the topic of single windows in the context of exploration. We are aware that this is the subject under discussion now, right? But we have seen, let's say, efforts for many years. It is not an easy topic. However, Engineer Roque Benavides was here just last week, engaged in a thorough discussion on that particular topic. In Canada, permits were available in 3 weeks, and in Peru, in a year, right, for the exploration topic. However, You all have discussed the topic of the World Bank during the PDC meeting. Could you provide us some insights on how the World Bank can help us? It would be wonderful if they could assist us in the creation of a single window that is not email is joined with the message. Basically, restating the same thing, but to be honest, let's not talk about 3 weeks, but rather at least 2 months, okay?
Yes, this digital single window project is not a new project. It is a project that has already been attempted. The start happened around 4 years in the past at the Ministry of Energy and Mines, for which a national company was contracted from a well-known university, Prestige, which was responsible for the initial tasks. Nevertheless, that project could not be finalized. Subsequently, the minister's presence was felt from the premier at Perumin, where he declared the relaunch, the digital single window. This was 2 years ago. And that relaunch was significant because, it was mentioned that it would take place in record time, correct? And indeed, we are in a situation where last year started this new digital one-stop shop. We consider 3 phases in total, with the first phase being all of the various processes would be identified, covering exploration and exploitation, benefit and expansions in exploration, and growth in benefit, in operations, and in explorations for advantage.
Just one?
In a single digital single window. This, however, what we truly accomplished is something that exists in the virtual realm. We created an application on the website of the Ministry of Energy and Mines where all the paperwork can be observed. Complete these 5 tasks accordingly. That was achieved in 3 months. And ultimately, that application was developed with the backing of the Council of Ministers Presidency. The second phase, when it comes to permits and paperwork, we could say it's the phase of legal procedures. For instance, this text comprises 113 characters. In order to gain knowledge about exploration and exploitation procedures, you can refer to the Ministry of Energy and Mines' Administrative Procedures document. This document provides detailed information regarding the subject matter. You go to the unique text of the administrative procedure of the Ministry of Culture for the topic of air and archaeological. The same goes for SANAP regarding protected natural areas and all entities. So it is a task that requires standardization in order to be done properly. And many times that work is repetitive. The Ministry of Culture has similar demands as the Ministry of Energy and Mines, thereby satisfying our requirements. OIFA wants this from you about the environment, and others do too.
Mining. The question posed by Jorge, the Deputy Minister, implied a concern about how this is being harmonized, since the key point is the announcement of support from the World Bank. Jorge was inquiring about the nature of this support and what it will entail.
In that case, we need to standardize a total of 62 procedures to ensure consistency and efficiency. From 10 public entities that are involved with the digital single window. We have observed that we could accomplish this with our own resources. Having your own resources is insufficient. You must also possess a team of individuals to complement your efforts. Behind that is responsible for developing all of that. That single window, that unique window, but already from an IT perspective.
So where does the World Bank fit in?
The World Bank comes in. The World Bank will be involved in this. That's why I mentioned the first stage. We are already implementing the second stage, which is primarily legal. The third stage will be primarily concerned with the IT component. With the section where investment in servers is necessary, we need to standardize the software across the 10 public entities. Thus, we require an individual who can gain recognition from all 10 entities in order to achieve the desired outcome. And individuals who can work with a certain level of autonomy and independence in making this application in record time, right?
However, similar to a referee's role, it will entail addressing the aforementioned
The bank,
issues
which
in a
is the
fair
World
manner.
Bank, will be financing this project. We have the details sorted out. In 2006, it did so using EMTAL-1 with roughly 62 chairs. This could be called EMTAL-2. The digital single window issue will be financially supported by the World Bank. It will support a theme about mining environmental debts. It is going to fund a third subject connected to geology with remote sensors, along with all the technologies required by INGEMET, in order to enhance their activities related to prospecting and exploration throughout the country. Therefore, for this we do need a somewhat strong fund. At this moment, the World Bank has already acquired 45 characters. All the information, it has already met with the Minister of Economy and the Minister of Energy and Mines. They have already committed to financing this preliminary study. This during the initial half of this year.
What do you think we'll have? This consists of 59
characters. We are about to have,
characters.
let's say, at this moment, there is a pre-agreement, let's say, with the World Bank. But I have a positive outlook, and I think we are finally going to sign a conclusive agreement to kick things off.
What are we going to sign? Are we going to sign the agreement in the first semester?
The agreement, yes.
Well, when do we expect to have the single window with the involvement of the World Bank already functioning?
That's why we currently have the TDRs that have been done, right? Then in that TDR, it has to be approved by the World Bank for implementation. Therefore, we came to the conclusion that I don't believe it will go beyond a year, give or take.
A year from the semester? We're talking about July of next year?
Yes, indeed, it is imperative to complete this task alongside the 10 involved entities that form the single window.
Agreed.
Well, good. There is a truly serious problem, Deputy Minister, in relation to the topic of the exploration deficit, which is exactly the point made, initially brought up by Jorge, and just how much progress could we make prior to the complete implementation of from the single window in these terms, as it is the most requested by the mining sector. Roque Benavides claimed that exploration is equivalent to conducting research. In short, there's a permiso mania, not a permisology, because the term logo actually pertains to treaties and not permits. Instead, it reflects an obsession to impose a sequence of hindrances, primarily for a phase that solely involves research.
I think we need to clear up what Roque Benavides said, because it's important. Roque Benavides said it, and another official from Buenaventura also mentioned it at the Institute of Mining Engineers, where they noted that it was possible to obtain the permits in 2 or 3 months. I have spoken directly with the ambassador from Canada, and I have spoken with the ministers of natural resources who came from Canada. And I asked them for the miraculous recipe to create mythology in 2 or 3 months and obtain the necessary authorizations, and they told me it wasn't true. Why is that? Because in order to acquire the necessary permits for exploration, in order to have the mining concessions, you must obtain them first. It is usually a race against the clock to obtain the mining rights, which generally have a duration of approximately 4 months. From your mining concession, you can then go to the Ministry of Culture to try to obtain the corresponding authorizations from the Ministry of Culture for your project's area. Secondly, you must visit the National Water Authority in Peru to deal with the water permit issue. And don't forget, this is in Peru. Oh yes, moreover, it is essential to prioritize this matter. So in addition, make sure to acquire the necessary permits for the land on the surface. Here, the Superintendency of National Assets intervenes. And then fourthly, the environmental studies are required. If it's about exploration projects, you have to conduct them before the Ministry of Energy and Mines. So in the context of exploration, we can definitely manage it. Hasten all the bureaucratic processes involved in exploration. And in the fifth point, if it were about existing projects, for projects that are of medium or large size, then, well, the studies are performed at SENAS.
But for instance, on the issue of exploration, sorry, Deputy Minister, on the issue of exploration, why is it that he can't return? Why is all the permission given to the Ministry of Energy and Mines? As an example, if a person oversees the Ministry of the Environment, what steps should the ministry undertake for taking samples? Right? A Ministry of Culture, Ministry of... The truth about what is happening is that it goes around many places, despite the efficiency of the Ministry of Energy and Mines. They circulate through many ministries, which causes issues. Is there a chance it could go back to the Ministry of Energy and Mines entirely?
That's why we agree with what you say in your opinion. Why is it that we are referring to a digital single window? This is the very reason for it. That's why I said we have numerous requirements at the Ministry of Energy and Mines, which cannot be disregarded or underestimated. They are requested at the Ministry of Environment and SENES, in the National Assets Superintendency, well, at the Ministry of Culture. However, all those products resulting from the study that will be conducted on this, from this singular digital window, timeframes will be reduced due to the fact that we will possess Osayoi. This is it, the Chapito project. This Chapito project is going to first be introduced with a unique code, we could say, even through Ingemit, correct? Because that's where it starts. Well, the mining petition is set to be processed soon. No? You have the title. And that information. In a similar way, Ingemit is already connected with all the officials I have talked about. Therefore, we are going to check all the times now, just to be sure. And this will let us, to avoid duplicating requests to the unnecessary information to the US investors.
Now, engineer, but
in a common database.
In simple terms, our time is running out, but it is crucial that we provide an explanation. We are fully aware of this now. Our understanding is crystal clear. Behold, a few of the critics of the single window, all of a sudden you might enlighten us. What they say is, well, as has been done many times in other matters in the government, the single window receives, well, all the information, but it gets sent back to the ministries, and honestly, it's just another funnel. How do they manage to prevent this from occurring? Because yes, one can indeed input all the information virtually. However, this information will circulate to all departments. Will there be a lack of response from the administration? Will there exist a tool to encourage individuals to take action virtually? I'll have it by then.
Well, what I can mention to you at this moment is that both SENES, like the Ministry of Energy and Mines through DGAM, the General Directorate of Environmental Affairs, we are participating in a strong competition to expedite all processes, all the company procedures. On the other hand, another important actor has entered, which is the MEF, the Ministry of Economy and Finance. It leads technical meetings where in the government a portfolio of investments is prioritized for the year. We consistently monitor every week to guarantee proper implementation of those procedures. Institutions must indeed complete the tasks they are assigned to. The permits that tend to take the most time are primarily those related to the surface land, which are primarily managed by regional governments. In the authorization permit for the water, the environmental part, and the third is the environmental study, isn't it? But in the environmental study, we are doing this, and also we are doing something we did back in Alan Garcia's government, right? There was no digital window provided, yet permits were swiftly issued without delay. What now? We have technical tables in the Energy and Mines Ministry's basement, where companies come every day. Conduct an open meeting with all employees to ensure transparency. No, they share info. Ultimately, rather than typically. Overloading with papers. We tell them, look, you are missing this, you need this other thing. Furthermore, SENES also suggests that there should be an additional consideration. Verify in SENES there's a relation of firms that do environmental studies and they possess them qualified. Which students are getting approved for all their courses? Which ones are only passing half? And it goes on like that. This represents a solid option for selecting reputable companies that ensure a quick turnaround on their studies as well.
Henry Luna, Engineer Henry Luna, Deputy Minister of Mines, we sincerely appreciate your presence on Rumbo Minero and wish you great success. This topic holds significant importance and best of luck to you. Well, I think it's very important that they are working on it all the time. I am aware that, as you mentioned, 4 years ago, there has been a fight against this obsession with permits, aiming to reduce the time involved. However, I think it's vital to take into account everyone's suggestions to prevent this from being just a process that takes in and then has to repeat, as you can be quite fast, isn't it? But if the Ministry of the Environment or the Ministry of Culture takes a while, or if the regional part is slow, all the previous work that you have done so far, no, the permit isn't being issued, is it? That's great then. Thank you so much, Engineer Luna, for joining us today.
Thank you all.
Now, a commercial break, and we'll return shortly. All right, we're currently joined by José Gonzáles, the international editor of Rumbo Minero, located in the America mining area. José, how are things going for you? This revision has around 191 characters.
Wonderful day with you.
Okay. As we are almost closing this first quarter of the year, Typically, we carry out some form of assessment regarding past events. Well, there are different hurricane topics. Trump, yes. But besides other important matters, we should also look at the gold price and copper demand. What is the balance for the first 3 months of the year?
Gold keeps breaking through every imaginable and unimaginable barrier, and it has now surpassed $3,000.
We had talked about how the 3,000 would be by the end of the year, but now it has already surpassed that, right?
He exceeded 3,000, then went down to 2,900, and now he's back at 2,000. 3032. Goldman Sachs has upped its forecast for this year to 3,100. Some analysts believe it could reach 3,300 or 3,500, and gold seems unstoppable. And in the case of Peru, it is particularly important, as you know, because of our minerals, copper and gold.
But does it relate to the political troubles that Trump causes, the uncertainty he generates?
Let us remember that the Bitcoin, which had surged past the 100,000 mark, is currently hovering just above 80,000 today. There is a lot of insecurity in the market due to the decisions made by the Trump administration. A constitutional crisis is approaching since the courts are now fully convened. In the process of rejecting some decisions that the Trump administration is trying to enforce and is adamant about. Meanwhile, there is tension. Middle East tensions rise and the tariff war is ongoing. In addition, the Federal Reserve is convening to determine its course of action regarding interest rates. The prevailing expectation is that interest rates will not keep increasing. The previous month's US inflation decreased from the previous month, 3% to 2.8%. Nonetheless, it is not possible to declare victory at this point, and gold remains the premier refuge metal. People are not only buying directly anymore, they are now also investing through financial tools like ETFs that are still sustaining the demand as it stands today.
Now, please tell us one topic at a time. You spoke about tariffs. That is correct, but we also have copper to consider. Peru isn't really affected by this since it sells a lot to China, right? Chile is indeed affected, right? Because it sells more to the United States, but in other products we have an opportunity. For example, if they plan to impose tariffs on Mexico regarding avocados, well, Peru has an important opportunity. Look at what it did with blueberries. Peru had nothing years ago, and now it is the world's leading producer. Are there any opportunities for other products in Peru at the present time?
Undoubtedly, particularly in agro-industrial matters, we have a free trade agreement with the United States. Basically, this is insignificant for the Trump administration as the oldest free trade agreement with Mexico and Canada still exists. Nonetheless, this amounts to 145 characters. The Trump administration is currently considering the application of tariffs, but has not yet implemented them.
But they need to search for other producers prior to making that decision.
And apparently Peru does not register on President Trump's map of grievances. In other words, we do not exist. Yes, and to the extent that we do not exist, the paths remain open. We will talk in the next segment about copper. And nevertheless, no way. It appears that we are being acknowledged and enjoying certain advantages. If the current policies of the Trump administration are sustained in this manner, if they persist in going forward, the Chance port might signify some disturbances in relation to the events in Panama, with the Hutchinson ports, which were ultimately sold to BlackRock. But today there is the Chinese government is conducting an investigation into Li Ka-ching, the seller of Hutchinson ports to BlackRock, seeking information on the decision-making process. An investigation is ongoing in the Panamanian case concerning the licenses, as the assets and cash flow are being sold. Reformulation, licenses for ports. There will be a series of discussions. They will keep producing noise. As of now, we haven't been directly affected here in Peru.
We have to stay close to ground level.
Indeed, the price of gold accurately portrays the magnitude of these risks. Peru needs to tackle the issue of illegal gold mining, as it is responsible for exacerbating these pricing levels, which have become increasingly dire, makes the activity more appealing for illegal miners.
Agreed.
You had mentioned, Jose, discussing the Copper Developments 5.2. The book that discusses recovery, isn't it? Please share with us.
Certainly. Copper, as you're aware, Cesar, experienced an ascent to either 5 or 2 and subsequently declined, owing to a chain of expectations concerning its growth. China is currently recovering from the slowdown in electromobility. It has gone from levels of 5% to being 3% below 5.2. This translates to about a drop of 2%. due to a series of dynamics that are favoring the metal. On one hand, China announces a new economic stimulus package directly aimed at consumption beyond the monetary measures announced last year. Additionally, what enhances the request of the demand for recovery, what industrial recovery was doing, and the tariffs, the rates that have been pre-announced by the study being conducted by the Department of Commerce. The current situation in the United States is leading to a rapid buildup of inventory when it comes to copper. It's important to note that there are only 2 copper smelters in the entire country. This demand for inventory recovery is causing copper prices to continue rising and is expected to reach practically historic highs. The positive outlook remains strong since the fundamentals, despite tariffs and situational decisions made by the Trump administration, are still intact. Hopefully, the meaning of the text has been preserved while expanding it to approximately 232 characters. As global population continues to increase, the demand for copper in construction is expected to remain strong. Additionally, the sales of electric and hybrid vehicles are projected to continue growing. And renewable energy sources and artificial intelligence, they are still in the current situation that we have reviewed, no matter the political distractions and the entanglements in the supply, are permanent and will be constants. Therefore, we may see that the market charges returns this year.
This year, José Gonzáles and the Rumbo Minero team will edit the Rumbo Minero magazine, which will feature all these themes. The text consists of 126 characters. The preserved meaning and character count remain intact. Very well. Don't forget the magazine Rumbo Minero. If you want to be a supplier or are already a supplier in the mining sector, you have an excellent business tool here, with everything that the advertising package entails, which has over 70 benefits. Visit www.rumbominero.com to download the magazine entirely for free, covering all these subjects that are important. Now let's take a brief break and return after some advertisements. Okay. Now, let's introduce Carlos de la Torre Paredes, who is not only a political scientist but also a university professor and teacher. We would like to engage in a brief conversation. We have extended an invitation to him to discuss the subjects of social conflicts, illegal activities, and electoral prospects. We are currently making the necessary preparations for the elections, where, unfortunately, as we've said here multiple times, legal Peruvian mining is often used as a scapegoat in many campaigns. Let's observe the current situation. Has the subject undergone any slight alterations, or does it remain the same? Hello there, Carlos. How is everything going for you?
Hello, Jorge and Cesar. It's great to be in your company.
What is it that we can anticipate during this campaign? I no longer know if it's pre-electoral because at any moment it becomes pre-electoral already. But the question is this. Multiple risky elements exist, making it precarious, right? And I also wanted to know, could you tell us a little about this? And I also wanted you to tell us where. We have witnessed significant changes in the perception of legal mining over the past few years, in contrast to illegal mining. Let us also explore the role that mining will have in the future. Many Peruvians already know about mining. So we have some doubts that it could actually be, not so negative, the propaganda, especially from the center. On the right, the mining sector's propaganda isn't that negative because really what the mining sector helps with is quite a lot, right? Tell us a little bit.
The campaign is definitely beginning now, signaling the start, In April, they will call for elections, and from that moment on, it will be a full campaign, no matter what. There's no time left for us, and we can already see that some candidates have started to emerge while others have been left out of the race, right? But in any case, they are going to be important. Let's call Antoro, for example, right? It will probably be important in the campaign, perhaps running as a senator. It is likely that there exists an anti-mining discourse from specific sectors, which is of considerable importance given the potential for conflict that could emerge. Wouldn't you agree? Well, in the last few years, the outlook on mining has significantly improved, primarily because the country has recognized the development that mining contributes. Wouldn't you agree? In addition, we have witnessed a notable evolution concerning mining procedures. Definitely, over the years, improvements have been made concerning environmental issues and technological matters, and that is something noticeable. The big problem we face now is the issue of illegal mining, which has basically also been, it has really made a strong mark, right? It has positioned itself strongly in communities and politics.
Carlos, and this is the problem they face since they provide financial support to certain candidates. They either join parties or infiltrate them. They are the infiltrators. That even before it was represented by drug trafficking, which today has become an illegal activity more so subordinated to mining. illegal? What should the government do? What can we as citizens do to see these kinds of problems?
The topic of illegal mining is quite intricate, as Cesar pointed out. It impacts various sectors and connects to multiple illegal economies simultaneously. Wouldn't you agree? We notice a connection to drug trafficking. We see a link to human trafficking, organized crime issues, illegal logging, hitmen. The topic gets much more complex. However, it is evident that this unlawful behavior has infiltrated the realm of politics. A prominent example occurred in November of the previous year, wherein unauthorized miners staged a week-long occupation of Abancay Avenue without facing any consequences. Nothing. Had the circumstances been different, this would have been over, as in a clash with the police. Yet, it is clear that there is a certain involvement from politics. Say, even though I don't agree with the idea of avoiding conflict with them, it's interesting to note that some Congress members actually danced at the end, isn't it?
Certainly. Could you clarify the political goals of the candidates and what they anticipate with regard to their political agendas? We have seen A. There is uncertainty on which polls to trust that reveal a glimpse of Keiko Fujimori's presence. We are able to catch a small but notable trace of her influence. And Lopez Aliaga, Carlos Alvarez, and others are visible. Share with us what information you have about this.
It is evident that the center-right party is in a strong position for the upcoming elections. All signs point to their established presence. Nonetheless, an evident dissatisfaction amongst the public arises mainly due to the president's lack of popularity and the underperformance of Congress. This, in turn, has the potential to create a multifaceted and intricate situation for the stakeholders involved. Future. One major issue associated with mining, as you mentioned, is its potential to become a target like a piñata, don't you think? At times, political coalitions, particularly those leaning left or opposing mining, may employ anti-mining narratives in order to gain electoral support. It's important to note that these narratives are not exclusive to leftist groups. Ultranationalists may also adopt them. Any form of radical speech should be concerning, regardless of the ideological standpoint.
Right, of course.
You can use a speech that is anti-extractive, right, to achieve objectives. It is crucial to exercise caution in handling this matter, and we shouldn't overlook the problem of financing illicit economies, particularly the illicit mining sector, correct? We are witnessing its palpable presence within the realm of politics.
But you know, Carlos, you see, it is being announced, for example, that during the second semester of 2025, the rollout will commence of Tia Maria, San Gabriel. An important investment by the Buenaventura Mining Group is also significant, will begin operations in July. MMG, the company that oversees the Las Bambas unit in Apurimac, it has also been reported that Galeno is a major investment in the mining sector. In Cajamarca and part of the northern mining corridor, they could also start to carve. I get the impression that business people see a better climate. When it comes to the topic of social conflict, do you agree with that viewpoint?
On the matter of social conflict, it can be seen that there has been a slight reduction. Our current major challenge is predominantly related to the issue of illegal mining, which is gradually expanding into the realm of legal mining, isn't it? We noticed this in La Libertad, for example, regarding La Poderosa, right? Where lives have been lost, and despite the emergency declaration, nothing has been done by the state. Right? There are very complicated matters at play, and they are progressing. The significant challenge we will probably encounter is that these illegal operations are starting to engage with local communities. And corruption is an unfortunately prominent issue in the country of Peru. Often, society and the population do not perceive the direct benefits of mining, which are quite large as they come with royalties, technology, and a host of other resources. However, in the political process, sometimes that gets diluted. And do you know that illegal operations often bring about immediate benefits relatively rapidly? One thing that worries me is the increasing validation of communities around illegal activities. If this trend continues, it may have serious consequences. I strongly believe we need to address this issue and work towards reform. In opposition to formal activities as a contrasting element, I'm concerned about the fate of businesses, right? Will they actually see investment as a viable option? The matter of freedoms is quite problematic due to the killings. It's labeled a state of emergency, but nothing is done about it and no results are seen. This is a very poor message, and it indeed raises some worries.
Finally, does the next president of the Republic need to be a person who is firm and unwavering in their decisions? With illegal mining and to be able to attract investments for the legal one?
We definitely need to fight illegal mining, no matter what it takes.
He is operating at a superior level.
Last year, it was reported that the informal mining industry generated an estimated $12 billion, which falls far short of the substantial $40 billion produced by formal mining. However, it is crucial to recognize that this $12 billion does not contribute to tax revenue, adds to pollution, and is associated with various other illegal activities. It is terribly unfortunate that the issue of human trafficking is sometimes made invisible, especially by our politicians. Another day, a congressman gives an interview on a podcast and downplayed the issue of human trafficking, for example. The issue must be addressed urgently, as it not only has economic consequences but also poses a serious threat to the population. Providing effective solutions is crucial to mitigating its impact.
Okay, we are grateful to have Carlos de la Torre Paredes, a prominent political expert and writer, as our guest on Rumbo Minero. Thank you, Carlos, for joining us. We look forward to your future appearances.
Thanks a lot.
Now, a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. Okay, as we approach the conclusion of the program, it's crucial for me to mention something to Cesar and our viewers at home. That in the end, we don't have a window, as we have mentioned to the Deputy Minister. We don't have a single window that is like the single windows of the past, right? That, you see, they placed all the paperwork right here and then turned back to all the ministries once more. I still insist, I believe that the Ministry of Energy and Mines should be the only entity that grants the approval, and it would be significantly quicker. Now, this authorization likely comes with people from the Ministry of Energy and the Environment, residents of Cal, officials from the ministry appointed to the Ministry of Energy and Mines. No? And that, once and for all, let's move this topic forward. We can't spend so many years and still be stuck in the same situation, processing. I process processing mania.
The paperwork, persimonia,
Thus,
as I told you.
I think it is essential for Peru to see a reduction in this matter. It serves as one of the global indicators for investments too.
Right. And the important thing about Henry Luna, who recalled the very efficient government, the second administration of Alan Garcia Perez, during which there were technical tables that quickly resolved this issue. Well, there's nothing particularly fresh happening at the moment. Carlos de la Torre Paredes, a political expert, has shown us it's crucial to monitor the impact of illegal mining on election campaigns to avoid any possible disruptions to the process.
In electoral campaigns, and also, watch out, there's a new fact that's quite troubling. Financial support to community members, communities, and the city from illegal mining to citizens to sway their votes in a different direction. Watch out for that, watch out for that. Definitely. We need law and order in Peru now. There's no point in declaring a state of emergency if the military isn't going to patrol the streets. We don't see them at all. We don't see them anywhere. We saw them at Larcomar, but honestly, I mean, it's all just a joke at the end of the day. I believe that one must have a well-made plan so that this issue of crime is truly addressed. In many cases, financing is provided by these quotas and by everything that is occurring with illegal mining, which poses a significant danger. We must put an end to it immediately. Well, thank you very much. Cesar, as usual. Moving forward, let us now engage with Peru Constri to delve into the intricacies of infrastructure, construction, and property developers with thoroughness. Thanks a bunch from Rumbo Minero for taking the time. We'll reconnect in just a couple of minutes.